Hello, all you beautiful creatures. Welcome back inside our luxurious League Unlocked studios. My name is Eric, and we are 5 weeks down in the LCS, 10 games, which is just over the midway point. And usually, it's the best time, it's the funnest time to look at your MVPs, your All-Pros, your surprise stories. But right now in the LCS, when you're talking about MVPs, it's absolutely going to be somebody on Cloud9, and most likely Sven, because he's putting up some insane numbers and performances, which, by the way, would make a third ex-TSM member to capture an MVP award. Unless something drastic changes in the final 4 weeks, you've got to assume somebody from Cloud9 will be locking up those honors. So we decided to take a page out of the Dives book, who did their all-pro, mid-split all-pro teams in the LCS, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do first, second, and third, but the big difference for us, if you watch the boys on the Dive talk about their first team All-Pro, is everybody from Cloud9 is featured on there, and initially, that seems like the easy answer, but we went with the slightly different route because somebody from Cloud9 is not on our first team All-Pro for the mid-split, and that is Mr. Power of Evil. But the rest of the boys are absolutely there. When you're talking about the top lane, Licorice, absolutely, he's done far few mistakes to not warrant him being in that number one spot. Blabber might be the biggest gap, pretty closely tied with Sven. Sven's the biggest gap, but Blabber, the 9 junglers below him, I don't think anyone has held a candle to him so far in the spring split. That all-out aggression that was a weakness that we talked about from him in 2019 with the team hasn't really, maybe that one game against TSM in the 2v2 where they lose, but for the most part, the aggression combined with Niski has been absolutely insane for him. Sven, I mean, the KDA of almost 40 speaks for itself, and the fact that he has a CSD of over 14 in a game where he didn't CS for the first 15 minutes, that average is absolutely disgusting. Him and Vulcan have clearly been the best bot lane duo. So 4/5 of Cloud9, there's absolutely no argument, but the big change is PoE in the mid lane, and I think this last week really cemented the fact that he has been the best mid laner so far in 2020. And a lot of that, you can say, is almost because Niski has the added benefit of just having absolute domination around him on the map in all of his teammates. And what Power of Evil has been able to do, there's a lot more on his shoulders to actually pop off and carry some of these games for FlyQuest. So far, he has absolutely delivered on a bunch of different champions, some picks that not even many other people are playing. Who's playing Corki right now in Season 10? It's a lot it's a pretty rare pick to see, and obviously he completely dominated on that. He's had some incredible Syndra, Orianna performances. It doesn't matter what build path this guy is going. When you have 36% of your team's damage after 10 games, as a mid laner, those are sometimes borderline 80 carry numbers on some struggling teams, but as a mid laner, that is absolutely insane. He's been great in and outside of the laning phase, and FlyQuest is sitting second in the standings, and a lot of that is because of the play that we have seen out of Power of Evil. Niski has been great. Don't question that whatsoever, but what Power of Evil has done warrants him getting that first team All-Pro in the mid-split team for the first team. Second team All-Pro, of course, you're going to find Niski on that list, and he has still had his best split in probably years that we've seen, including his times in EU. He's been fantastic for Cloud9, but PoE as that main carry just barely edges him out. Xmithy, for some reason, somehow, Immortals were sitting in second for a long time. They have that 3-game losing streak right now, but he has still been the best player and the most important member for them. And really, the other junglers, to varying degrees, have been a little bit underwhelming. Kabe, maybe not quite lived up fully to the hype that we had for him coming to TSM, but he has still been rock solid as a primary carry for them so far, and they're sitting in third. Ignar, second most important member of FlyQuest so far this year, has been the second best support behind Vulcan, and you can argue back and forth between him and Biofrost for that position. We gave the slight edge to Ignar just because of what he does outside of the laning phase and setting up the rest of the map for FlyQuest. And aside from Niski, the easiest pick for second all-team member is Broken Blade in the top lane. He has been TSM's best player so far in the 2020 spring split, and he has had some pop-off performances. Yes, he's had some head-scratching moments where he's gone a little bit too far, he's dove a little bit too deep, and basically just suicided. But on some of these carry champions in particular, the Kiana, the Oriana, or not the Oriana, the Irelia, excuse me, these assassin bruiser-type characters are really when you see BB at his best, and we saw a big dip in his play from summer compared to what we saw in spring, but the synergy with Dardoch is almost immediately there for them on TSM. He's had some fantastic teleports, some fantastic flanks and solo kills, and really excited to see him continue to grow, but he has clearly, without a doubt, been at worst the second best top laner so far in the spring split. When it comes to the third team, this is where obviously there's even more debate because you're talking about who could be fourth potentially. Biofrost, easy third. Bio, Ignar, and Vulcan have clearly been the three best supports so far, and you could argue maybe between Ignar and Bio, but they both deserve to be in top three. Bang and Someday are kind of similar because they are far and away the standout performers on their respective squads, and 100 Thieves and EG both sitting at 4 and 6, and almost maybe 2 to 3 of those wins you can kind of pinpoint on either Bang or Someday putting on some incredible performances individually to help their squads get there. Dardoch, maybe you're talking about some other members being there, but I think Dardoch has been pretty clearly a top 3 jungler so far. For top laners, honorable shout out to Soaz, who has been, much like Xmithy, very solid for them and one of the reasons why they're here. For Bang, Altec and Johnson have both been stellar. Altec's had a surprisingly good split for Immortals. And Jensen in the mid lane, maybe the most controversial pick. He's been clearly the best and most consistent player on Team Liquid. And the fact that he's the only member that we have after the first 5 weeks just speaks to how bad Team Liquid was in the first half of LCS action. But Froggen also obviously deserves some praise, and I would be okay if you slid Froggen in as that third team all-pro mid laner. Bjergsen has had a couple of uncharacteristically off performances, and of course, because he was sick for so long at the start of the split, he had those underwhelming performances. Don't think he's been quite top 3 throughout the first 5 weeks. I would give it to Jensen and or Froggen over him so far, but still 4 weeks to go. Things could change oh so very drastically.